played them yet, Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal. So the way those games work, they are completely different from the classic Doom games. You start off with a certain, loadout of weapons. As you start killing enemies with weapons, they'll start dropping armor. So then you get all the armor, but then they start dropping the rage. Then you use rage to do a rage combo, and as you build up the rage combo, they start dropping health. Then you use that to go back to your weapons, and use that to start dropping armor again. So essentially the way you play Doom, the new Doom, it's kind of a rock, paper, scissors pattern. You do one thing, it builds up one thing. Then you do that next thing, it builds up the next thing. You do the next thing, it builds up the next thing. And you need to keep it flowing in that circle. And as long as you do, and you keep that momentum going, that's how you could continue to succeed and beat Doom or the Doom reboots, okay? Some people like that, some people don't. Personally, I criticized it heavily, okay? But that's how they're played. That's almost pretty much how Final Fantasy 16 is played now. Now that we've got 3 different elements, wind, fire, and lightning, and all these different abilities, but also ultimate abilities, and then also I've got kind of my rage, which I don't even know what they call it in this one, but you basically you transform halfway into like this fire creature, and you fight with bigger combos and damage, okay? So basically the way you do it is, you start off with all your abilities charged, you dash in, you start fighting enemies with a combo, you activate one ability. Now it starts juggling the enemies, you activate the next ability. Just keeps juggling the enemies. Do a combo, switch over to your other elemental type, do an ability. Do a combo, do an ability. Switch to your other one, do an ability. Oh, by the way, now you have your ultimates built up. So throw out your giant ultimate that's a giant tornado. You literally can't see anything on the screen anymore because the tornado is just a bunch of elements like wind and lightning and shit. You can't see shit. All you see is a bunch of things. So now you're like, well, all right, watch this. So you start mashing buttons. So you're doing your charge. You're doing your magic. Oh, I have the ultimate charge. Let's do that. You transform into a fire creature. Now you're beating everything up. And it's like, is anything hitting me? I don't know. I mean, my health sometimes goes down, but now I have 2 abilities that give me my health back in combat anyway. This is how you play the game. I wish I could say, oh, this is how you play it. Because once you do that, you dominate everything. You could dominate mobs of normal enemies. You could dominate bosses. You'll just beat the whole game like this. Now, admittedly, when you're fighting the bigger enemies and or you're fighting more bosses, you do have to dodge a bit, okay? So there are instances where you can't just tank it out and just mash through these abilities and do rock, paper, scissors. There are times when you have to be more conscious of your surroundings and your enemies. If you just try to tank a boss, he's going to hit you a lot, and you could still probably tank it by healing, but you probably want to do some of your precision dodges and things like that. But what's funny about it is, like, the game has a parry system. It's called mashing. If you're mashing the button, you'll parry. Just by chance. You won't even try to do it. You'll do it, and it just completely counterattacks whatever you're fighting, and now they get rocked. Yeah, it's just, honestly, it seemed, at first it seemed simplistic. Then it got more complex the more abilities you have. But now that you have all these abilities that are so overpowered, now it just seems like it's just child's play. Every fight, you dash in, go, ability, combo, ability, combo, ability, combo, ability. Oh, I can't see anything. Oh, well, who cares? Keep pressing. Oh, they're all dead. Okay, on to the next. And that's literally what my whole stream was yesterday. And I'm 20 hours in. This isn't like, oh, this is because it's early, the game's easy. No, I'm 20 hours into the game. People are like, yeah, you're almost about halfway into the game now. And it's like, that's the game. So it leaves a lot to be desired. Like, I would say any of the combat of the more recent Final Fantasies is better. I think the combat of Final Fantasy 15, the combat of Final Fantasy 13, hell, combat of Final Fantasy 7 Remake, hell, combat of Final Fantasy 5 Pixel Remaster, which we just played a month or 2 ago. I like all of that combat better. This combat at this point has just become so simplistic that I feel like it's an afterthought. I almost feel like you're just going through the motions to go from place to place in the game and see the story. And the combat was just put in to have gameplay in between, but it doesn't seem like it really matters. So I am kind of scratching my head about this is what they went for with the combat of the game. But, by the way, that's not me saying I don't like the game. Like, for example, the story. I think that the plot is getting more interesting as we get further in. You know, yesterday Jill had her own, like, kind of subplot, which was nice to have the other main character have her subplot. And now we're going further into the political kind of almost Game of Thrones-esque plotline of the game. But it's not bad. Like, I'm enjoying it. That part of the game is entertaining and satisfying. But, I mean, the combat has always been a key part of Final Fantasy, and to see it be degraded in the way that it is in this game, because it's a degrading. You know, you had to think. When you were playing previous Final Fantasy games, and you were doing the combat, you had to think about what you were doing. You had to go into it with a strategy. Each character would use a particular strategy. In this game, you only control one character. You just do a mashing pattern in a circle like rock, paper, scissors, Rochambeau, and you just dominate everything. It's like, so I could literally walk into combat and likely pay no attention to what I'm doing. I probably play with my eyes closed, and as long as I remember what I've mapped to each thing, and I just keep activating the abilities in a circle, I could probably beat everything in the game with my eyes closed. That's not good. That's bad. That's a huge step back, and I don't know if it's because they thought that the combat of the series wasn't good enough for modern audiences or whatever, and they want something more dumbed down. But I mean, there's dumbed down, and then there's like, wow, this is like ridiculous. I'm not even kidding you. It's one step away from Kingdom Hearts 3. It's not that bad. Kingdom Hearts 3, by far, the most piss-easy RPG I've ever played. I don't even know what they were thinking with that. It's like a play schooler's RPG, okay? So it's not that bad, but now that I'm getting further into the game, I'm realizing how it's way too easy, and that just doesn't add to a good experience overall when it comes to half the game, which is the combat. You know what I'm saying? So I guess we'll see as I get further into the game if it gets any more complex. I don't know if there's any other abilities you unlock in the game. I don't know if anything else will become a challenge, but I guess we'll see. But for now, it's kind of like the further in I get, the easier it gets. I don't think that's a good thing, right? But anyway, I made good progress in it, and yes, I decided we're going to continue with Final Fantasy 16. I'm not dropping the game. I'm going to continue on with this playthrough, especially because people are saying you're about halfway through now. So I'm like, all right, fair enough. I'm about halfway through. We'll keep going. If I'm 20 hours in, you know, I play it 2-3 sessions a week, 3 hours a session. We'll probably beat it by the end of the month or very early August, which is fine. That's on pace with what I would want. So, that's how we're doing there, all right? And it was a good week. Overall, I had a great week with all you guys. Thank you. And now what I'm happy for is that next week we're actually going to be doing some variety. Let's talk about that.